And I'm your host, Uchido. Every day I'm going through the Bible from cover to cover, meaning that I'm reading the Bible through in 1 year. I chose this challenge because the first time I did it, I felt really something changed. There was like some major transformation in my life, and I wanted to do it again. I tried it again, and I failed the second two times, the second and the third time. So this is my fourth attempt. So I've decided to do it and have an audience, a live audience, so that I'm held accountable to the daily readings, which has been very helpful, I must admit, because I have some days I'm really tired. I feel like I'm not paid enough, you know. It's work. It's stressful, and a typical day takes about an hour, 30 minutes on average, to read the Bible, put my thoughts down on paper, and then shoot a video or go live. I chose to do this because I wanted to know God for myself. I wanted to find where in the Bible stories, certain stories where how they were interpreted, and draw my own conclusions, my own lessons from them. So when I share what I think here, I share my own interpretation and my understanding. And it's okay if you don't quite agree with an interpretation of maybe something I have seen in the Bible, or you agree with it and you feel you resonate with me. That's fine. The idea is that you to go read yours and see what that story says, and how that story or the stories of the Bible can do something in your life. I'm prepared to discard any belief that doesn't serve anymore, and I'm prepared to test the theories around some of the things that have been shared in the Bible. That said, have you noticed something new about me today? Today is day 91, and we have 274 days to go. So I really need you guys rooting for me that I'm able to do this to the end. Today, have you noticed something new? Yes, I have a mic on. So like every day I'm trying to improve the manner in which I'm doing this. I have not taken time, but I took time this weekend to clean up my study and make things look a bit nicer. So with time, you'll see a few changes in the manner in which we do things here today. That said, let's quickly get to it. Alright, so today is day 91, and Deuteronomy chapter 18 is where we'll be at today. In fact, we're reading the whole of Deuteronomy chapters 18, 19, and 20. It's a bit of a read, so today would be a long one, but I'm glad that you're there. I see someone saying something and joining me live. I'm glad. I'm saying hello to you, and I hope you've had a great week. Alright, so today, in summary, we'll just be looking at a few more laws around behaviors in the promised land. So Moses is still updating them and telling them this is how you're expected to behave when you get to the promised land. And then he gives some behaviors around war. Very interesting. Like today is really rich. Today is a very rich scripture. So just hang in there and let's run through this together. So I've put my notes here. What did I drop? I use my daily Bible guide. I use a daily Bible guide. I use this. So every day we do a New Testament, an Old Testament reading, a New Testament, a Psalm, and a Proverbs. So that's what I'm doing. Some people say that's too much for them. They just rather read one or a few chapters of one story. And I'm from Nigeria. Yeah, so someone just commented, that's why I answered. I always love it when people are live. I see a lot of people here today. So just hang in there. The stories are really amazing. Alright, so today Moses is reminding the Israelites that remember the Levites, the guys who are supposed to be working in the tabernacle and handling all the sacrifices. Remember, he's telling the children of the original people who are now gone, remember that they don't have any land allocation. So you guys need to make sure you give them what you're supposed to give them. So they leave off the gifts that you bring to serve God. In fact, the gifts are so specific. Let me read. Also, I'm an architect. But I'm sharing my faith here by reading the Bible in 1 year. I'm trying to read the Bible in 1 year and just share my thoughts on it. So every single day I follow a Bible reading guide and I share my thoughts. On it, encouraging others to perhaps go read it if they want to check the stories, or you don't know, you just want to follow me daily and get an idea of what the Bible is about. Trump for architects. Yo! Thank you so much. All right, so you guys are making. So in Nigeria, we say my head is swelling right now. So you guys are making my head swell. So just please, let me. The stories are very interesting. So just follow with me. But thank you, K drama, Cravers, K drama. My sister must be your friend because she's a K drama addict. And then Vincent, thank you, Vincent Judy. I'm really grateful. All right, so this is me just sharing my faith. This channel is dedicated to things of my faith. Okay, I just feel like sharing them. So we are reading Deuteronomy 18 today, chapters 20. And Moses here was saying that he was reminding the children of the Israelites that they need to live they need to live off the gifts that they've been given. He said God Himself is their special possession. I don't know how that would fare in Nigeria today if we had a group of, say, 3 tribes, and then you said one tribe will not get any land. They're going to live off what the other 2 tribes give them. I don't know if it will fly in Nigeria, but here, that was the rule at the time. So the Moses goes on to break down what was expected of them. The priests may claim parts of the cattle, sheep, goats. Also, they can claim the shoulder. So whenever a sacrifice comes in and they do the burnt offering, for instance, the sheep will claim, I think, the right shoulder. They will claim the cheeks. I'm not sure what the cheeks are. I'm not sure what the cheek is. And then the stomach of every animal that is given to them. The priests are expected to get the first grain, the first fruits of the grain, the new wine, olive oil, and wool, the first set of wool that for sharing. So that's, I guess, is to help them clothes. So there must be someone who makes their clothes. A priest can serve anywhere God has led him to serve, but his family will still support him. But basically, there are rules that have been laid down for how the Levites are supposed to be supported. I think we dealt with that last week. All right, so he tells them, he continues, once you enter the promised land, do not imitate the customs of the people that you meet there. You not imitate the customs of the people that you meet there. Do not sacrifice your kids as burnt offerings as the people there do. In fact, that is why I'm upset with them and I'm driving them out of the land and replacing the land with you. I added that part. Okay, but that's an explanation for it. Do not sacrifice your kids as burnt offerings. No fortune telling, no fortune telling, no sorcery, no omen interpretations, no witchcraft. Do not cast spells. Do not associate with mediums and psychics. Do not call dead people back. That's why the other people were driven out. Okay? So, since you guys are not dealing with God directly, I added a part. Moses says God will raise a prophet like me. That's Moses talking now. Like me. You remember that you said when we were at the Mount Sinai, when God was trying to speak to all of us directly? Moses is the one talking now. He's talking to the Israelites. When God was trying to speak to us directly, you guys said you didn't want to hear from him directly. You wanted him to speak to a priest, and a priest will speak to us. So that's in continuing with that tradition. God is going to raise another priest. You guys better listen to him. You better listen to him. Listen to the source prophets. However, and remember, if you don't listen to the priest, God will deal with you directly. So he says, remember, God agreed that he will raise a priest. So please align and make it easy for that priest. Listen to such prophets. However, some prophets could be fake. They might say things that God did not say, or they might be trying to lead you to another God that God does not sanction. In fact, that's the first commandment. And if you followed me for any length of time, they continually, God harps on this so much. It's a pet peeve. It's a pet peeve. So he says, if any prophet is fake or false, he must die. Then people were like, how do we know when a prophet is fake? Like, gosh, how do we even know? We don't. You are the only prophet we know. And so God says, if whatever he says doesn't happen, then he's fake. So the rule is that whatever every prophet says, there's probably a length of time that is given for that thing that the prophet said to happen. So if it doesn't happen, then he's fake, and he has no authority. So chapters 19, we're going to chapters 19 time. We talk about the city of refuge. This city of refuge, when they go into the promised land, God has said that anybody who gets land, you must put aside 3 cities of refuge in the promised land. These cities of refuge are to house people who accidentally unalived anyone. I'm trying to sound like the way my kids speak these days. Unalive anyone who accidentally kills anyone. The person can run to the city of refuge and live there safely. If he lives among the people where he accidentally killed someone. So an accident here in the Bible was written, like you can go like maybe go chopping a tree, and then maybe in the process of chopping a tree, your axe flies out and hits someone and kills the person. Such a person can run to what is called the city of refuge, where he can live safely. And the avenger of blood, that is the person who feels entitled to kill that murderer, that accidental murderer, will not be permitted to go in there and kill him. He can live there safely, so he's allowed to flee them. However, if someone intentionally in cold blood kills somebody and attempts to run to the city of refuge, the people there must bring him back. And the avenger of blood is anyone who, maybe any family member who feels strongly that they can they have a right to avenge someone's death in their family. So that was what they said here. So that's chapters 19 was dealing with that. So he said, in the new city of refuge, do not steal land by moving any boundary markers. If you have been given 200 acres of land, do not extend it by fighting with your cousins or brothers next door and moving your boundary markers, the ancient boundary lines. Don't do that, okay? Do not so let me make sure I don't miss my notes. Do not steal land by moving boundary markers. Do not convict someone on account of just one witness. He says, at least you must have 2 or 3 witnesses corroborate a story before someone is convicted. This is God now laying down common sense principles. So I think in my time of reading the Bible now, I've come to see that some laws are in context, while some laws are like principles, life principles. I think I'll take time to, I always say that, I haven't done so. I think I'll take time to really see how to separate these. This is me understanding it now. This is me trying to understand. So he says, do not convict someone on just one person's account. There must be 2 or 3 witnesses. If someone falsely convicts someone, that person must, the punishment, if someone falsely accuses someone, the punishment that was originally meant for the accusee will now fall on the accuser. So that people are discouraged and afraid to just accuse someone carelessly. By the time we get to the New Testament, honestly speaking, these laws, people disregarded these laws like just like water. They just, so many, Jesus met a whole different, like a different bunch of Israelites, honestly. If someone falsely accuses and is discovered, then the sentence will land on his head. And this is so that we can discourage people from falsely accusing people. So no mercy for anybody. In today's climb there, I'm going to touch on a sensitive topic now. Some people will accuse someone of rape, and it will be false. Sometimes they will accuse someone of something that they know is not true. And then in the world today, there hasn't been any major penalties for people who do false accusations. They just like, oh, this thing you did is so wrong. That man has been in prison for 15 years and now he's out, and it was a lie. Because many times some of the women come out and say, look, it was not true. I was just angry and I wanted to get back at him, so I accused him of assaulting me. So such people in the Israelite days, they were God was insisting that such a person should be punished for false accusations. I don't know why the issue of false rape accusations just came to mind, but that's just to tell you how painful it can be when an accusation is false. So don't spare such people. An eye for an eye, a hand for a hand, a tooth for a tooth. So that, if you've ever heard that saying before, that's where it came from. All right, so chapters 20, and then we end our Old Testament reading today. Dealings with how you handle war. If you go to war, do not be afraid. God that brought you out of Egypt will give you victory. That's what Moses was telling them. Do not fear. God who rescued you from Egypt is on your side. So the priest, every time you're going to go to war, the priest will speak to you guys, and he will say, let me read, because I try to paraphrase what the priest would say. Hear me. Do not fear. Do not be afraid. And do not be afraid. You can fight and win your enemies. Do not panic. Do not tremble. God will fight for you. That's in summary what the priest is expected to say to ginger the troops. So if they're afraid, the priest is supposed to say that. Then the leaders of the troops, the generals in the army, will now ask, is there anyone here who has built a new house, who has not lived in it? Go back and go and enjoy your house. You might die in war. Is there anybody here who has just married a wife and or has just gotten engaged, go back. If you have just planted a vine, in other words, you have a business that has not started yielding returns, look, we want you to enjoy it, so go back. And then if you are afraid, those four things, if you are afraid, go back, because you might contaminate others with your fear. So those four people, they are allowed to go back and stay out of war while the others go to war, which is such a brave thing to do, because this is them acknowledging that they know that they may not come back from war. They may not come back from war. Okay, so there's another rule, a very interesting rule. So he says something, I've always wondered. At the time, I didn't understand, and I didn't know why. I didn't know why. I didn't know why God would say to some places, when you go to this place, kill all the people. But when you go to some places, just kill the men. Maybe they stood up to you, so just kill the men, leave the women and children, take spoils of war. I didn't understand what the criteria for that was until I read today's scripture. So today's scripture, he breaks it down. He says, when you go to war, if you approach a town, start by offering peace. In other words, when you approach a town, settle in your mind, if you must go to war and it has been established that this war has to take place, you must go with the mindset that we are going to win this war. So when you go there, offer them peace. And if they say they accept, then go in there and make them your prisoners of war. That is what those were the rules for war for the Israelites back in the day when they were going to go into the promised land. So make them your prisoners of war, but if they resist, then go to war and fight them. If you go to a place that is very far away, like it's a place that it's not part of your land, but maybe something happened and you guys need to go to war with them, you can fight the men, you can eliminate the men, but you can keep the women, the children, and the spoils of war for yourself. However, there are some places where when you go to war, you must not negotiate, you must not spare anybody, you must not spare anything. You must annihilate, you must incinerate, you must completely sack those towns. And he goes on to list the 6 towns, which I forgot to list here: the Jebusites, the Perizzites, I've listed them before. So perhaps maybe if you know them, you can put them in the comments, those comments. So this is chapter 20 now. He says, do not spare them at all. The reason is simple. You are going to be living there. That's where I have given you the Israelites, and you're going to live there. So I don't want anything. I don't want anybody. I don't want anything I don't want you to meet anything there that would distract you. I don't want you to mingle with them. I don't want you to see maybe you killed them, you left the spoils of war, maybe the way they live, their houses, or because God was really big on worship, right? How they worship. I want you to clear everything, destroy everything, and just get rid of everything. I want you to go there as a clean place, because you will not be able to worship me well if there's anything left behind in those places. So suddenly, I know clearly now where the places God said they should eliminate, and the places that they shouldn't. All right. So the final thing concerning war was, I don't want you to inherit their practices. That's what he was basically establishing. So when you go to these places, don't marry them, don't spare them, don't keep anything, don't even their animals, eliminate everything. Don't spare. Alright, so if you go down to, if you're fighting war and this war has lasted a long time, do not cut down. I don't know why. Such a random instruction. Do not cut down the trees, except the trees are not useful for food. Because after you're not fighting with the trees now, are you? So do not cut down the trees. Cut down only trees that you can use for equipment to finish the war. If you're not sure the equipment you're going to do will finish the war, don't cut down the trees. This is God addressing some really major principles. You see, that sustainability. So for those who don't know, I'm a PhD researcher, and I'm majoring in environmental sustainability. This is environmental sustainability. This is God saying, I need you guys to keep the environment clean, green. Do not use anything for the sake of using it. Environmental sustainability right there in the Bible. Okay, so this is only when a war has lasted too long. If a war is a short war, do what you need to do, finish your war. So that's my lessons. Those are my lessons. That's my reading for today. So in our New Testament reading, there's a whole lot of drama. If you remember yesterday, we dealt with something. So today it says 8 days later, Jesus went up the mountain and took Peter, James, and John along with him. While he was praying, they were sleepy. I don't know what was going on. They always fall asleep. He suddenly, his outfit turns white and is glistering. And then suddenly two men appear to him. They look like Elijah and Moses. I'm not sure. They look like Elijah and Moses, and they're talking with Jesus. And Peter, James, and John. They're sleepy, but they can probably when they wake up, they see the conversation. They see the conversation, and they ask, "Oh, what's going on here?" And then they hear Moses and Elijah discussing with Jesus about the issues that were about to start taking place in Jerusalem, which was he would be crucified. He would start spatting he would have a spat with the Pharisees, and then they would try to kill him. So they were preparing Jesus for what was coming. So Peter now blots out as usual. Peter is very dramatic. He just says, let's build a tabernacle here for three of you. Here in Luke, they say he doesn't even know what he's saying. He just blots it out. So a cloud suddenly envelopes them and they are afraid what's going on. And then in the cloud they hear, "This is my beloved son, listen to him." And then the cloud disappears. And as the cloud disappears, everything returns back to normal. They think it's a dream or perhaps a vision. So everything disappears. They are afraid of it. They don't say anything to the other disciples. They keep everything silent. Then Jesus now encountered a man with a convulsing child. That man had attempted to give his children maybe Jesus was busy or was not around. So he attempted to give his son to the disciples to cure the child of convulsions. Maybe the child had epilepsy, sounded like something like that. So they couldn't do anything. So he brought the child to Jesus and he said, "Look, I gave your disciples this child to cure. They couldn't cure. Please, you have to help me." And then Jesus is like, if you remember when I addressed this in the book of Mark, I did some drama around this story, right? So it's a repeat again. So he says, you guys, how long will I have to put up with this, you faithless and perverse generation? Bring the child, Joe. And so Jesus, speaks to the demon, rebukes the demon, and casts it out of the child. The disciples are marveled, And if you remember, in the book of Mark, they asked Jesus, why weren't they able to take out this child, this demon? Because they tried to do what Jesus had been doing. And then Jesus had said there in that book, on this particular story, this will not go except by prayer and fasting. Now Luke doesn't tell us that part. He just tells us that as they were marveling, Jesus speaks of his pending death. And the disciples were not too sure what he was talking about. They didn't want to ask him because they were afraid. I'm not the one that's going to ask him what this stuff is explaining is. I don't know. I don't want to know. So, who is Oga? So while that was being going on, a fight breaks out among the disciples. In the book of Mark, it was a very interesting read because I think they even brought in their mom. But here they were arguing who is going to be the greatest, and they bring their mom to even interfere with Jesus and, "Look, I want my children to be the greatest." Jesus like, "You guys want it, you're gonna get it." But here they don't tell us that. They just tell us that while the disciples are bickering, Jesus demonstrates with a small child, brings a child, sits the child on his lap and says, so let me shut the door, my toddler is at it again today. Sorry, when you have toddlers in the house, anything can happen. So Jesus demonstrates and brings a kid, puts the kid on his lap and says, if you receive this kid, you receive me. If you receive me, you receive the person who sent me, which is God the Father. You see, in this kingdom, the least will be the greatest. And then they mentioned to Jesus that they saw some people casting out demons. I remember this story very well in the book of Mark. They mentioned to Jesus in the book of Mark. There's a bit more. Mark is so summarized that, but he takes time to narrate these particular stories. And they mentioned to Jesus that they saw some guys casting out demons, and Jesus was like, "What did you do?" And they were like, "They stopped him now." And Jesus here said to them, they told Jesus, we told the guy to stop, and they're like, "Cause he's not one of us." So Jesus was like, "No, that's not how this kingdom thing works. If he's not against us, he's one of us. It doesn't have to be in our clique, but he is one of us." So which really addresses the issue of denominations. We are all of one body, but we keep fighting. I don't believe that. Can you see how Mark, so we have read three gospels now. We have read the book of Matthew, the book of Mark, and now the book of Luke. All of them are narrating different stories with a little difference here and there. That's how these denominational things work. We shouldn't be fighting each other because we don't agree. We don't agree on some minor denominational doctrines, you know. So just is saying that whoever isn't against us is on our side, and so to quit all this sectarianism, okay, quit it. Doesn't work. All right, so that's our New Testament today. Our Psalm is a bit of a long read, so I'm going to quickly try to do this. Today has been a long one. Okay, Psalm 73. So I like to read the Psalms because I feel like it speaks directly to me and to any audience who wants to read it. Tragedy of the Psalm 73. Truly, God is good to Israel, to such as are pure in heart. But as for me, my feet had almost stumbled. Yes, my steps nearly slipped, for I was envious of the boastful when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no pangs in their death, and their strength is firm. Do you know people that? Do you know you know? Okay, let me just go back to it. Well, you know what I'm trying to say, but you know situations like this, right? Okay, they are not in trouble as other men, nor are they plagued like other men. Therefore, pride serves as their necklace. I decided to wear a cross today. Pride serves as their necklace. They are not in trouble as. Therefore, pride serves that. That's verse 6. Violence covers them like a garment. Verse 7. Their eyes bulge with abundance, and they have more than heart could wish. They scoff and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongues walk through the earth. Do you know people like this? Therefore, verse 10, therefore his people return here, and waters of a full cup are drained by them. And they say, how does God know? How is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are ungodly. Who are these? Who are always at Behold, these are the ungodly who are always at ease. They increase in riches. Surely I have cleansed my heart in vain, and washed my hands in innocence. For all day I have been plagued and chastened every morning. This is David complaining that he's seen a lot of terrible, bad people, corrupt people, wicked people who appear to be living a great life with no issues. Even when they don't die like they don't suffer. Yes, I love you, and I love you and all things God, and yet things are tight for me. That's what David is complaining about here. So verse 15, he says, if I had said I will speak thus, behold, I would have been untrue to the generation of your children. When I thought how to understand this, it was too painful for me. Until I went into the sanctuary of God, then I understood their end. Surely you set them in slippery places, you cast them down to destruction. Oh, how they are brought to desolation as in a moment. They are utterly consumed with terrors. Now he's realizing that the people whom he envied are not as clean or happy as he thought they were. As a dream when one awakens, so when the Lord awakes, you shall despise their image. You will stop envying them when God exposes them for what they really are. Thus my heart was grieved, and I was vexed in my mind. I was so foolish and ignorant. I was like a beast before you. Nevertheless, I'm continually with you. You hold me by my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterward receive me to glory. Who who have I in heaven but you? And there is none upon the earth that I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart fail, but God is the strength of my heart and portions forever. For indeed those who are far from you shall perish, and you shall destroy all those who desert you for harlotry. But it is good for me to draw near to God, for I have put my trust in the Lord, that I may declare all your works. So I like to read them because I feel like it's saying a lot of things I want to say from my heart. It's saying a lot of things I want to say from my heart. So that's Psalm 73. So our last scripture is Proverbs chapter 12, verse 10. A good man regards even his animal's life. A good person treats even his animals well and is not cruel to them. But the person who is wicked, his kindness is cruelty. If he's even kind to you, his kindness is cruelty. You don't want to be such a person. You don't want to be such a person. So that ends our readings for today. I want to thank everyone. Today I got a lot of great comments. Nigerian people are beautiful, and so are you. Thank you, K Drama Cravers. I'm grateful for your kind comments. I hope you like, share, and subscribe to my channel. and of course share with others as well. Turn on the notification buttons. I don't go live at the same time every day, but I go live every day. So I'll see you tomorrow. So hang in there. Have a great day.